scrappy friends, welcome to my channel. I am working on a layout that is Forget It Scrapped, and this month I am focusing on emojis. So we're using emojis on a layout um, in a fun way. So I will make sure I have a link to the blog post where you can see all of the other members who used emojis as their theme. We all did different types of layouts. Some of us did some really fun stuff, and some of us used emojis because they're part of the story. So definitely check that out so you can see how other people use it. I will apologize just a smidge for I'll apologize for my video. It seems like it's lagging a little, and I've worked on it for a while to try to figure out what the issue is, and I think that this is about as good as I can get it for right now. I'll see if I can work on it a bit later, and then maybe it won't seem so jumpy, but I don't know. It's like lagging or something. It's not as bad as it was. So right now I have that cut file, and what I want is to use a whole bunch of just embellishments and stuff to use up a lot of pieces. So if you're like me, you have a ton of like wood pieces and other stickers and enamel dots and all that kind of stuff. So I thought it would be kind of fun in um to use a lot of stuff that is similar or makes you think about emoji type stuff. I also have some stickers that have emoji symbols and different types of stuff like that. So I'm going to be pulling some of those in too. So I want all of this stuff to peek out from underneath the cut file. Now, if I had thought about this, I mean, I did think about it ahead of time, but I didn't realize that while I was doing it, uh, a lot of it would be covered up because the holes in the cut file that I used were actually emojis. I think I might have just put that cut file up and had the emojis sticking up like inside some of them and had some of them popping up higher than the cut file. I think I would have did it a little bit differently and maybe just added some of those pieces only because I feel like some of them get kind of lost. I mean, in the end, it's not a big deal because I have a ton of stuff, extra supplies, right? And this is a good technique to use if you're trying to just use up stuff. I've seen Jen Scow do something similar to this where she had a space and she filled it all in with different types of stickers and stuff. So that was kind of my thought. And I think Iris was also who did emojis, and she did hers. I don't know if it was Iris. I want to say it was Iris, but someone else did one where the thought bubbles were had all these different things in it. So it's funny how both we had no idea what each other were doing, but we did something kind of similar. So this is one of those fun ways to play up and use tons of emoji type things too. So, I mean, because otherwise I don't know if I would use them as much. I definitely took some buttons, some regular buttons, some wood pieces. In the end, I didn't use as much as I thought I was going to use just because a lot of them you wouldn't have seen. So, yeah, but it was definitely fun, and I'm using that striped paper because it just I felt like it was gonna work really well. It's a more boy colors, and so I'm using actually the paper products were from what I took out for the Love of Homemade kits, and I just haven't used it that much, the kit. So I definitely wanted to make sure I mentioned that I used the paper for this because I thought that it would work really well. I did decide to go with the diagonal paper and the striped paper, so that I had something extra fun, and I don't know, I don't feel like they compete too much. And when I put the white paper on, you're really not going to see a lot of that striped paper. I am going to make sure that I put um a, a like a quarter of an inch on the top and the bottom of that striped paper. So, I mean, right now all you're doing is just seeing me put all this stuff on. I know I could have taken a lot of this out, but I don't know. Um, I guess I thought that it might be kind of fun to talk about the process. And I just really went through and I found stuff that I thought would go well, but stuff that I thought I could use. Like I have these cameras and I've had them for years and year for a few years now since I started scrapbooking. They were one of the first wood veneers that I bought, and I have a ton. I mean, I think sometimes I get using them and then I get bored of them. So one of the things as I put that cut file on top, I realized my wood buttons from Chamel that I added really weren't, they were underneath the white part. So I'm going to move some stuff around just so that I can make sure that you're seeing certain elements and that they don't really impede on its sticking up too much. And I added a lot of stuff with that Tombow. I really don't like the blue glue. I think it works better if you're doing paper to paper, but not paper with embellishments like that. So that's something definitely to think about when you're adding this kind of stuff. But it looks really cool when you add lots of different things. And I did mark the around where the cut file pieces were. I mean, like I said, because there are a whole bunch of holes, it was a little bit hard to figure out. I think also another way that you could have did something like this was actually like make really tiny and thin circles where all of them were, so you could kind of see where they were, so you could place them in the little circles. I mean, it's harder to do that and use bigger pieces, but so that's definitely another way to think about doing it. I just figured I'm just going to go with it and I'm just going to do it like this. It'll, not everything will show, but that's okay, cuz part of it is about getting rid of these. And so you just see bits and pieces of this. I mean, yeah. So, in a minute I'm going to be adding this on. I did use chipboard to put on the edges so that it would just kind of lean up, like hang, not hang, but there'd be that space in between. And because I used some of the wood buttons and stuff, that also made it dimensional as well. So I obviously have to let this sit for a minute or otherwise it'll go all over the place. So now I'm going to figure, and as you can see, this is where I realize that like some of these pieces really don't, they're kind of in the way, like not where you can see them at all. So thankfully, because I use the liquid glue, I can move things a little bit. And I am going to add near the end, and you'll see that I'll go back and I'm going to add some of the faces on in those hearts. So yeah, I just really thought this was a fun cut file. This cut file is from the Silhouette store. So I don't remember what the store section from the Silhouette store, but I will say it's from the Silhouette store. And yeah, so these, I have multiple pictures and I decided to use these, and they're a little bit smaller, as in they're like, I don't know, 3.5 by 3 or something like that, maybe. I really like that size, but so I wanted to do a layout about my son and his many different faces. I'm sure I will have multiple layouts about similar to this kind of theme, but a lot of times when we're taking pictures, he just makes oh my gosh, the faces. So, and of course, I just keep clicking away and try to get as many of these faces as I can. And it's just really fun. It's fun to see the progression. And so I thought that because I am working with emojis, this would be a really good way to show, I mean, a fun way to play on the emojis. You know, when you think of emojis, you think of happy and smiling and laughing and silliness, and well, for some of them. And so I thought that this would be a fun way to add pop culture, if you will, to my layout and not seem so out of place. Because I don't know. I mean, there's not too many layouts that I think I feel like a emoji really makes sense. So, and where I don't mind just adding things anyway, I feel like sometimes it's nice to have um a plan or a reason why you're using something, because I think in the end, years and years later, people are going to wonder, why do you have this on there when that has nothing to do with that? I mean, so I want to make it easy for anybody who looks at this later on, that they can just be like, oh yeah, this is fun. And so it kind of ties together. So here I'm adding the faces, and I'm just picking random faces, and I'm going to just glue them down into the sections that there's not that many pieces. I don't know if I'm trying to remember if I move any of the other pieces. I tried not to really lift up this part because I already have stuff stuck down, and I have the title uh, already on there, and I'm using that chipboard piece that says Beth. Uh, so this was just a really, really fun layout. So definitely go over to the Get It Scrapped blog and check out all of the other layouts about emojis. And I hope that this inspires you guys to make a layout with something pop culture like emojis. I will see you guys later, and I hope you have a great scrappy week. Bye!